Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Today is March the 10th, 2015. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's go around the world quickly, talk about some gambling angles for today. In European football, in the Champions League, two of the elite teams globally should win today. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, right? These are dominant teams. I believe these are the teams that deserve your attention, right? Again, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Let me also say, too, that I have an eye on the Monaco-Arsenal game. Arsenal's been playing well of late, but of course Arsenal has had problems in the past. I'm staying away from English Premier League teams today. That includes Chelsea, a team I think the world of, but this is Champions League. Let's see how they do. Let's shift gears. American football, right? The over-under win total for the year. Before people wake up and realize what's happening, you need to wake up and realize that the San Francisco 49ers are headed for a rebuilding year. Right? The writing's on the wall. I don't see the Niners winning more than 8 games next year, finishing 500. Let's talk about it. Right? Frank Gore is already leaving. He's choosing between teams like Philadelphia and Indianapolis. Right? He's gone. Understand, Jim Harbaugh, the head coach, he's gone, and in his place, you have Tom Sula, who has never started a season as the head coach of an NFL franchise. Now you get the death blow to the team, right? In a locker room that has volatile personalities like Aldon Smith, right, who last year got arrested for saying he had a bomb at an airport, right, who last year was suspended after he took out a firearm at some event, right? When you have volatile guys like that on your team, you need veteran leadership. Where's it going to come from, folks? Frank Gore is leaving. Patrick Willis has shocked the team, and he's announced his retirement. I'm telling you that Gore and Willis were among the 2 biggest leaders on this team. Now you have Justin Smith retiring. Folks, that's too much, right? You have Michael Potty about to leave the team. Star players are leaving the team in a division that's coach heavy. What other division has 3 head coaches? The level of Pete Carroll, right? Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. Bruce Arians, and Jeff Fisher. Right? What other division has that? The Niners, to me, are going to be at a coaching disadvantage. They have too much transition going on. The Niners will be lucky to win 8 games. Let's shift gears even further. Let's talk boxing. Got a huge matchup coming up in the light heavyweight division between Jean Pascal and Sergey Kovalev. Right now, let me state the obvious here. Right? There are going to be fireworks in this fight. There are going to be fireworks in this fight. It would be absolutely astonishing if a fight like the Zhou Shiming fight or the recent John Molina-Adrian Broner fight breaks out. I don't believe either of these guys has the luxury not to throw punches. Now keep in mind, we saw Kovalev go the distance against Bernard Hopkins. No question about it. Masterful performance. He looked strong late. His best round might have been the last round of that fight. And he had several great rounds before that last round. Right? But understand, Hopkins hardly threw punches back. Hopkins was passive. Pascal knows he can't make that mistake. Let me point out, too, that Kovalev simply doesn't have the resume of going deep in fights. Right? I believe before the Hopkins fight, Kovalev had never gone past the 8th round of a fight before. So, I know it burned me last week, but I'm unrepentant. Last week I said I didn't see the Adrian Broner fight going the distance. John Molina hardly threw any punches. Broner won that fight by a wide margin. Okay, fair enough. I'll lick my wounds. Here, I just don't see how this Pascal Kovalev fight can go the distance. Right? Does Pascal have the defensive skills of Bernard Hopkins? I would say no. Let me point out, too, that Pascal is a fast starter. Right? There's not going to be a lot of timidity early. Pascal's not going to do a John Molina impersonation. He's going to come out. He's going to let his hands go. What do you think Sergey Kovalev is going to do? Let me ask you a simple question. The Kovalev you saw against Nathan Cleverly, right, over on British soil, if that Kovalev shows up, don't you think the odds of this fight going the distance are remote? I'm not saying he wins the fight. What I'm saying is the Kovalev we know is out there. The Kovalev we knew of before the Hopkins fight. That guy ended fights early. Right? That guy battered opponents. Look at how battered Nathan Cleverly was. Folks, that's not a one-punch knockout. That's not a flash knockout. That's a sustained beating. Now, he's going to have a willing dance partner here. Right? I personally believe Jean Pascal has one of the hardest punches in all of boxing. Right? Bernard Hopkins, who fought both men, is talking about how Pascal is difficult to fight because Pascal throws punches from weird angles. Let's think this through. Bernard Hopkins almost went down against Sergey Kovalev. A younger Bernard Hopkins did go down twice in his first fight against Jean Pascal. I don't see how this fight goes the distance. I'm expecting somebody to be stopped. That's how I'm playing it. I'm taking both guys by KO. Keep in mind, because of belts at stake here, it's a 12-round fight. Right? It's a 12-round fight. Can we also agree that Jean Pascal is much younger than Bernard Hopkins, hits a lot harder than Bernard Hopkins? Somebody's going to get popped here. I'm betting distance on that fight rather than an opponent. Let's shift gears even further. Let's talk about the big fight out there, right? At least the fight people expect to be the big fight. Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather, right? Now, Freddie Roach is talking about Floyd's legs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm the first person to say that I think Mayweather's slowing down. Like Abel Sanchez, Gennady Golovkin's trainer, I believe this fight would have been more lopsided a few years ago, right? In other words, when they were first talking about the fight, I thought Floyd would win the fight pretty easily. Now I agree Floyd's older. So Freddie Roach is saying Floyd's legs are gone. Fans are caught up in the moment. They just saw Manny Pacquiao look good against Chris Algieri, right? But let me ask a foundational question. Did foot speed matter in Pacquiao's last two fights against Juan Manuel Marquez? Do you believe that the Marquez who fought those last two fights, right? And I believe the fans in the arena at both understood or believed that Marquez won both of those fights, right? Do you believe that Juan Manuel Marquez had faster foot speed than Floyd Mayweather? Right? If the answer is no, if you feel that whatever foot speed advantage Manny Pacquiao had in both fights against those last two fights against Juan Manuel Marquez was neutralized by the fact that Pacquiao had to come to Marquez, right? then let me ask an obvious question. Does Floyd Mayweather even need great foot speed at this point to beat Manny Pacquiao? I think people need to back away a little bit from Floyd's foot speed. And they need to focus on other things. I agree, there are vulnerabilities here. My biggest concern in this fight's not Floyd's legs. It's Floyd's hands. Because he's going to be bouncing shots off Manny Pacquiao's head here. Now, Floyd has had fights recently where in the later rounds of fights he's had hand problems. Right now, it hasn't mattered too much because Floyd has won his fights by a wide margin. Right here, you just want to know that Mayweather's hands are going to hold up so Mayweather can close the show if he gets the opportunities that Marquez got in that last fight. The one where Marquez knocks Manny Pacquiao down twice. Understand, boxing is more than foot speed. Exhibit number 1 should be Manny's lack of success against Juan Manuel Marquez. Let me ask you, all 4 fights, was there ever a time in the 4 fights against Marquez where you thought that the foot speed gap placed Marquez at a distinct disadvantage? Right? As I've said here on other films, Floyd Mayweather is a counterpuncher just like Marquez. Right? Just like Marquez. The things Marquez is doing against Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather can do against Manny Pacquiao. Right? So if you're worried about Floyd's legs at this point, were you worried about Marquez's legs the last 2 times he faced Manny Pacquiao? I think Pacquiao's absence of a back foot game diminishes the foot speed advantage that Pacquiao has in fights. Right? Understand, against elite competition, right? That competition is going to know that Pacquiao necessarily is going to have to be on his front foot to be effective. Whatever Floyd's foot speed, and let's face it, Floyd's legs today are still above average, right? They're just not where they were when Floyd beat Oscar De La Hoya, for example, right? But just understand, Mayweather's legs are going to be a little bit irrelevant here, aren't they? Because Mayweather can stay over at the side of the ring and know Manny Pacquiao is going to run over to him just like Pacquiao ran over to Marquez. Now let me go one step further. I'm going to name 2 fights here that I want you to just quickly glance at. Manny Pacquiao's a southpaw. The best punches to throw against a southpaw are a left hook up front and a straight right hand. You want to see a left hook up front festival? Floyd Mayweather, Diego Corrales. Right? As you watch that film, tell me, can you throw a left hook better than that? Is that Floyd Mayweather or is that Joe Frazier in the ring? You want to see a straight right festival. By the way, these are exactly the punches you need against Manny Pacquiao. You want to see a straight right hand festival? Floyd Mayweather against Robert Guerrero. By the way, when I say two-handed, that's what I'm talking about. You're watching different Mayweather fights, and he's dominating the guy with different hands. When I talk about adaptive, reactive, that's what I'm talking about. You look at 2 different Floyd Mayweather fights, and he's employing 2 different strategies. Now, no one here online is going to be able to direct me to the Right Hand Anything Festival for Manny Pacquiao. Right? There's no fight out there where Manny Pacquiao is throwing a stiff and accurate right jab. Right? Because, of course, Manny Pacquiao's right jab is neither stiff, nor accurate. Right? No one here is going to be able to direct me to the Manny Pacquiao right hook fest. Because Manny Pacquiao's right hand is underdeveloped. Now, I'll agree. The Ricky Hatton fight, he hits Ricky with a pretty good right hand up close. I'll concede Pacquiao has a right hand up close. Is that enough of a right hand against Floyd Mayweather? So take a lot of these comments you're hearing from folks like Freddie Roach with a grain of salt. The next time Freddie's talking about how Floyd's legs are shot, someone should say, aren't Floyd's legs today better than Marquez's legs were in the fourth fight where he stopped your fighter? Right? Let me go one step further. And this needs to be said. Freddie Roach, and don't get me wrong, I love Freddie. I know I'm here online criticizing the writers for always giving Freddie Trainer of the Year, because I believe the sport has many great trainers out there, right? Nacho Beristain, Joel Diaz, Floyd Sr., Roger Mayweather, Robert Garcia, right? Pablo Sarmiento. This sport has many great trainers. Ronnie Shields. I'm a big fan of Freddie's. I remember when Freddie used to fight for Eddie Futch years ago, right? Freddie Roach is a technician in the ring. He was more of a technician as a fighter than his fighters are. But let's put some comments in perspective. Freddie Roach was out there dissing Floyd Sr. Now, what I want you to know is that Floyd Sr. used to train Oscar De La Hoya, revived his career. I want people to look at the Oscar De La Hoya story and look at when he started with Floyd Sr. and what happened after that. Understand, boxing is weird because today you think of Oscar as Golden Boy Promotions. You think of the Mayweather Group as Mayweather Promotions. Everyone's different. Understand, a lot of the players know each other. Right? By the way, a lot of the promoters know each other from even before they got into boxing, but that's another story. So understand, Oscar De La Hoya had a trainer who he was working well with. Google Oscar's comments about Floyd Sr. Right? Floyd Sr. comes in just like Emmanuel Stewart came in with Vladimir Klitschko and revived his career. So then Floyd had a fight against, then Oscar had a fight against Floyd Mayweather. Think about it. Right? The same Mayweather who Freddie's dissing now. So Oscar then replaced Floyd Sr. with Freddie for that fight because he didn't want a father-son dynamic. Right? Let me just say I applaud Oscar on that. Right? You know, someone's got to step in at times and realize, you know what? I'm not going to tear apart this family. So Oscar goes with Freddie Roach for a fight against Floyd Jr. And Oscar lost that fight. In other words, Freddie Roach replaced Floyd Sr. with Floyd Sr.'s top fighter. And then, of course, that fighter went out and lost. So now, of course, years later, Freddie's saying, hey, Floyd's at a disadvantage. He has Floyd Sr. in his corner. Maybe the person at the disadvantage was Oscar De La Hoya when he fought Floyd Jr. and didn't have Floyd Sr. in his corner and instead had Freddie Roach in his corner. Right? So, people have agendas. People are trying to sell tickets. People have old scores to settle. You, the gambler, can't take a lot of the dialogue seriously. Right? All you need to know about Floyd Sr. and Floyd Jr. is that when they're together, they're unbeaten. Right? That's what Freddie should be focused on. Right? Not only that, let's go one step further. Right? Manny Pacquiao, if you look at films of old Pacquiao, how's he different today? I'm reading reports here on boxingscene.com and other websites where they're saying that, they're throwing in wrinkles for Floyd Mayweather. What are the wrinkles they threw in for the Timothy Bradley fights? What wrinkle did they throw in for the Brandon Rios fight? I would argue that Manny Pacquiao fights the same fight every fight. Isn't he always trying to set up a straight left hand? Tell me the fights where he threw in wrinkles, please. Let me also say this too. Right? In an earlier video, I talked about Timothy Bradley controlling Manny Pacquiao in the first fight with a jab. People erupted. They said, hey, come on, we know Manny Pacquiao won that first fight. Fair enough. Fair enough. If that's how you feel, I'm not here to dissuade you. But understand, it's not the first time Manny Pacquiao was controlled with the jab. Right? We seem to forget the fights Pacquiao has lost. What about his first fight against Eric Morales? Morales comes out and controls Manny Pacquiao with a jab. Right? Let's just say Floyd has a choice on what he wants to do. Right? I'm guessing Mayweather's more interested in landing hard lead left hooks more than he is landing a jab. But understand, if he wanted to, he could get conservative. Pump a jab and then hit Manny with left hooks. Right? Food for thought. Well, anyway, take everything you hear, even this video, with a grain of salt. But as we talk about Floyd's legs, all I ask is that you compare and contrast them to the legs of Juan Manuel Marquez, who, in my opinion, never lost to Manny. Right? Are Floyd's legs really worse than Brandon Rios' legs? By the way, Brandon just won 12 rounds with Manny Pacquiao. Right? So, just food for thought. Floyd might not want to be moving away from Manny Pacquiao. Where did that get Chris Algieri? Right? Floyd might want to actually stay in the pocket against Manny Pacquiao. Understand the punishment Pacquiao is going to try to dole out with his long left hand is just part of the punishment to consider. What about the shots Mayweather's going to be doling out? Isn't Manny's body more open for Mayweather than it was for a taller fighter in Chris Algieri? Let me hear from you. Leave your comments for me here online. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com and on Roku at Dwyer Boxing and Sports News. Thanks for stopping by.